Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Checking microphone for cordless. Checking microphone for cordless. Checking microphone for cordless. Tak dengar. Checking microphone for cordless. Perlahan. Tak dengar. Checking microphone for kena rapat ni. Checking microphone. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cubaan suara 1, 2 dan 3. Cubaan suara 1, 2 dan 3. Checking 1, 2. Cubaan suara 1, 2 dan 3. Cubaan suara 1, 2 dan 3. Cubaan suara 1, 2, 3. Cubaan suara 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Testing 1, 2 dan 3, 4.
Test, one, two, test. May we have your attention, please? This is a public safety announcement. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to International Islamic University, Malaysia.
You are now in the IIUM Cultural Center.
Upon the sound of a fire alarm, or when evacuation order has been issued, please evacuate the building immediately. Emergency situations can be triggered by the presence of potential hazards such as fire and natural disaster. This building has 10 main emergency exits. Please take notes on emergency evacuation routes, locations of exit doors and staircases. Exit signs will remain illuminated at all time. Please take a moment to locate the nearest exit to you. During evacuation process, please remain calm and walk to the nearest exit according to predetermined evacuation routes. If you are in the upper floor, please familiarize yourself with staircase locations. For faster and safer evacuation process, please refrain from talking and running. Once you are outside the building, please proceed to the nearest assembly point and wait for further instruction. Thank you for your attention. This message is brought to you by IIUM Safety and Health Committee. Safety is as simple as A, B, C. Always be careful.
Let's lead the way, light in the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason, shall excel, shall prevail. Merging faith and knowledge, we the Khalifa, we will fulfill.
Thank you. Please be seated. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds, and blessings be on our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions. Honorable Professor Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of the International Islamic University Malaysia, and Puan Sri Masrah Abidin, Honorable University Management Committee, Deans, Directors, Senior Officials, and staff of the GOMBAK, Kuantan, Gambang, and Pagoh campus, brothers and sisters, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a good morning to all. First and foremost, On behalf of IIUM family, I am honored to welcome Honorable Professor Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, the newly appointed 6th IIUM Rector, to the International Islamic University Malaysia, the Garden of Knowledge and Virtue. Welcome Tan Sri, selamat datang, ahlan wa sahlan. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the Al-Liqa Al-Jamaie No.3 2018, held in conjunction with the launching of 61st Merdeka celebration. We are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for it is with His blessings and mercy that we have gathered here today to celebrate yet another Merdeka celebration in our lives. The theme for this year's Merdeka celebration is Sayangi Malaysiaku, or Love My Malaysia. The theme is chosen to celebrate and boost the people's love towards this country. Brothers and sisters, we have just received the news of the demise of Associate Professor Zakaria Man. Let us take a moment to recite Al-Fatiha for him. Al-Fatiha. May Allah bless his soul and make his grave a garden and grant him Jannat. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I have the distinct pleasure to invite Honorable Professor Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of IIUM, to deliver his message.
Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. La haula wala quwata illa billah. Saudari pengurusi majlis, rakan-rakan warga UIA ataupun IIUM, hadirin yang dikasihi. Saya terlebih dahulu ingin mengucapkan syukur kepada Allah SWT kerana kita dapat bersama-sama pada hari ini untuk meraihkan negara merdeka, dan juga bagi saya memberi sedikit pandangan apa yang akan saya lakukan di universiti ini dalam masa yang diberikan kepada saya. Brothers, sisters, friends, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Let me foremost thank Allah SWT for giving me this opportunity to be with you, this time I guess on a rather permanent basis, whether you like it or not. I've been here off and on for the last couple of years, and thanks for the previous rectors who have been inviting me to share some of my experience with you. And certainly I'm very much indebted to the university for giving me this opportunity and beginning to like what the university is all about. And I'm very grateful that this opportunity now is given to me to work with you on a very major sort of issues as far as not only the university is concerned, but more importantly for the Muslim Ummah generally. So I'll take this opportunity to thank all of you. To start off with, I've been here the last month or so with a lot of collaboration with so many of you, mainly on the internet, because I'm physically still not around as such. Yeah? What I will do today is basically to share with you some of my sentiments of what this university is all about, and how do we as a group, a collective group, to make the university better than what it is today. As a university, our call is about change. There's no other things that can describe what university is all about. Students that comes in with little knowledge at the end of the day will graduate as a very knowledgeable person, and that is a process of change. For those of you who come in as lecturers, ending up as a professor, that's a process of change. Some of you take on jobs to be a vice chancellor and later on taking whatever other jobs internationally. That is a process of change. So as far as the university is concerned, until and unless we make sure that this change proceeds in the way that it should be, we are not doing our work. If you are going to be stand still and everything is in status quo, we are not performing what we are supposed to do. So the first message to you is we are here about change, and not only change for ourselves, more importantly, for the change of others. We are here to impart knowledge so that others can also change at the same time. The university will change, the university will move from one rank to another, but look at our community around us. Do the community change at the same time? If the community is not changing, then we are not doing our role. We need to change, and they must change with us. And that's the knowledge that we're going to give them to make them change at the same time. That is my first message to you. We need to do this collectively. No one individual can do this, not even a rector of whatever dimensions you want to imagine. Until and unless we can touch base, make our heart work together, then this change will just be a dream, that nothing will happen. We've seen this far too often, that the Muslim Ummah, the Muslim countries are not changing fast enough. And we become an embarrassment to the world at large. I hope this university will change those mindsets. I hope all of you here will be this agent of change for everybody else around us, regardless whether they're Muslim, non-Muslims, boys, girls, men, women, whoever they are. Our role is to make them change for the better. And hence, when we talk about the Merdeka, can I have my, sorry, yeah, old men, we cannot remember things. So when we talk about the Merdeka, I want to go into this whole idea of what Merdeka is all about. For some of you who are not Malaysian, please bear with me, but this is a lesson that I think all of us can learn from. Yeah? The Merdeka, as far as we are concerned, in Malaysia is 1957. There was a Merdeka that was quote-unquote handed to us by the colonial British. We do not have a kind of a skirmish or a war. Yeah? The Merdeka was transited very, very peacefully in August 31st, 1957. It is what I call the first Merdeka, and we're very, very proud about it, because the Merdeka that we inherit is a Merdeka of peace, that people live together in harmony. At least this is what we think we ought to be doing, and that has been going on for a long time, right? But that is not the only Merdeka we have. We have got another incident, for those of you who are still too young to remember. May 13, 1969 was a black spot in our history when there's a racial riot between the major races in Malaysia, right? For the first time, as far as I can recall, for the first time blood was spilled. I was just maybe finishing my Form 6 at that particular time. Yeah? I still can remember what happened. And for the first time also, democracy in this country were taken away. The National Operation Council, in Malay is called Majlis Gerakan Negara or Mageran, took over the country for almost a year, from May 16 to February 23rd of 1971, and we were governed, quote-unquote, almost in a kind of military style rather than a civilian style. Yeah? The Prime Minister then was Tun Abdul Razak, a very honorable Prime Minister, that after so many years returned back democracy to us. And that to me is another kind of Merdeka that we inherit from a particular leader who can stay on to make this country a kind of a martial or a police state, whatever, but this does not happen. Merdeka was given back to us, and that to me is a second kind of a Merdeka. Now, what is more important, I think this is the third Merdeka that we are going to go through when we talk about the 14th general election. That is a Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister, I think you recognize most of them. But I want to highlight the time when we have this. It is May 9th, very close to May 13th. We were wondering, and I was wondering, why do we pick May 9 when May 13 was just 4 days away? As a kind of a reminder that if you don't do well, you will go into another skirmish of the 1969 style. Okay? But we as citizens of this country were very, very determined to make sure there is a change. The word Rabu means ramai akan balik undi. Yeah? That was the cliche at that particular time. Younger generation, the generation of you, of the likes of you, organize themselves to make sure that they come up in numbers to vote and to ensure there is a change in this country. And that was done miraculously. People from all over the world work to make sure that their votes are deposited. My own son came back, flew back from UK, brought so many other votes with him. And then he went to all the other places, including Kedah, Perak, or wherever it is, to make sure that those votes are deposited to where they belong, because time was very, very limited at that particular time. I cannot imagine this. I cannot imagine this happen among the younger generations. My old generation perhaps is too complacent about it. But the younger generation organized themselves. They even in the aeroplane, when I read some of the stories, exchange votes. You know, who will go where so that they can deliver the vote as quickly as possible. So Rabu is about rakyat akan balik undi. And because rakyat akan balik undi, we finally have got a different kind of a result that I would imagine is as a ripple. Some people say the aftermath of the general election is a tsunami. I don't think it is a tsunami because the transition was so peaceful. There was no blood spill. There was hardly even any protest. Yeah? I would imagine it as a ripple of peace, that we were touched by this ripple. As the ripple goes on, we are going to be touched by it. And we need to make sure that this ripple goes on and on and on until all the changes that we want to create in this country actually happens. And that is all of us being responsible for this. Certainly, I am responsible because I took the amanah of trying to make sure UIA is what UIA ought to be in the future as such. Yeah? So it is a peaceful thing, and it happens very quickly by just, I still can't get this right. That is my finger. Yeah? There is a black spot that everybody has got it. It's gone now. Within 100 days, I think it's gone. Mine is gone. But just to give you an example, by one touch, we create that ripple, and that ripple goes on. To me, it's a very symbolic thing, that you do something with one touch, but that touch, if you touch the heart of the person or the people, then that touch will go on forever to make many, many, many other changes beyond what you can imagine. We promised this. 100 days is over now. It's up to you to judge whether it is good enough or not. Yeah? But what is important as far as the university is concerned, we will also promise this. No politics in the university, in the sense that we do not allow any more political interference in the university, and I am going to assure that. Right? Before taking on this post, I met the minister, and I re-emphasized that this is a promise that you give us, and this is a promise that we're going to claim. So as far as this university is concerned, there's no longer political interference of any sort. We will take the responsibility to make sure that this university functions as a university and not a political party. So that much of assurance, I hope you will all hold on to this and to make sure that this university becomes a university as what it should be, first. But that doesn't mean there's no politics in the sense that I'm going to close down the School of Political Science. Yeah? Good politics, good governance will go on. Politics of hatred, politics of whatever else, we will say, stay out of this campus. Right? And that is very clear as far as I'm concerned. The second thing, there's also a promise. Sorry. That we will get rid of the ACTA that has been imposed on the university since many years ago. All right? Again, this is a promise that we will claim. We will not wait for the ministry to say, now your ACTA is mansukh, you can work freely. We're going to claim from the ministry and the government that there is no ACTA as far as UIA is concerned, and very much more because you are a company. I'm beginning to understand that UIA is created as a company, and I don't think a company should be, put under an ACTA of this sort. I came from USM. USM is a different creature altogether. Maybe they get this ACTA to work on them. But as far as UIA is concerned, we are working with the legal people now to ensure, within the shortest period of time, how do we liberate the university from this kind of a clutch, or from this kind of a, whatever prohibition that is given when it is not legally right for us. So these two things, I think, reshape the university, reshape our mindset, and this is a kind of independence, a kind of a liberation, a kind of a Merdeka of its own. While we talk about the country is going through a different kind of a phases of change, but I want to concentrate as far as UIA is concerned, let's focus to make sure that this university becomes the university that it should be when it was created 35 years ago. There's a lot of history. Yeah? There's a lot of history. I'm new here. I do not know much of your history, and certainly I'm prepared to listen and to be educated by all of you who have been here long enough to tell me the history of this university and how we can be that university that was created in the dreams of 1983, yeah? by the present Prime Minister, I'm told. Right? So that Prime Minister who created the university is now back, and we will make sure that the university that he wants actually came into being. I'm not too sure whether this... So on the 10th of May, a new government was sworn in. The same Prime Minister, as I said, the fourth Prime Minister, now the seventh Prime Minister, has everything to do with UIA. Yeah? But I don't know whether you remember his very first speech on that night of the 10th. And I'm going to quote what he said, which I think it is very important for us to realize. What did he say? He said this: guts is a commodity that is scarce nowadays in this country. To me, this particular quote is very meaningful because the country has gone into a state because we do not play our role to stop things when it ought to be stopped. All of us academicians have never said our piece when we are supposed to say so. And this is, I think, a point of contention for me. All of us here are by right public intellectuals. We are not just going to be professors in your own domains, within your own classroom, within your own university, but we are also responsible public intellectuals. The knowledge that I was saying that need to be spilled into the community is that role to advocate and to play that role as a public intellectual. So when things goes wrong, we must say it has to stop. When things goes wrong, we must say that this is not the way to do it. When things goes wrong, we must also give them what is a solution, the alternative way of doing things better. All this while, perhaps because of the ACTA, you can blame it on the ACTA, we prefer to play safe. So that, whatever we want to be, we can do it on an easier path, we will not be put somewhere here, there, or anywhere else. Yeah? But I think this is wrong. We need to take these guts again and to make sure this is part and parcel of the strategy to make changes, to make better changes moving forward. Right? So I will take the responsibility as a Vice Chancellor at whatever university when things go wrong. I have not said enough. And I think we need to take the blame as well when we see the country in the state of what it is today. Some of us know about it, perhaps do not want to say something for some reason or the other. Yeah? So guts or courage, as it were, is something that is important if you want to make a change. If you want to make a change and you have no guts, then I think you can forget about the change because the change will not happen. But of course, guts and courage as far as the university is concerned is all done in the way that we want to make sure that the academic ethics and moral stays. In other words, when we say something, there's enough to back you up. There's enough research to say this is the right way to do it. There's enough examples for us to say this works and this do not work. But we have to do it, whether we like it or not, because that's part of our duty as a public intellectual, as it were. So please do your writings to the newspapers, to the magazines. Then don't just talk about your tier 1 journals. I know that is important, but sometimes tier 1 journals is only read by 300 people around the world. Right? If you write to a newspaper, sometimes you can reach 1,000 or 1,000,000 people. And I think that's equally important as compared to your academic journals, whatever it is, as far as ranking is concerned. So what is the option for us in UIA, given the kind of changes that is happening? I think we have got 3 options. One is, we'll say, let's stop here, all right? But to me, there is not an option at all. A second one is to follow somebody else. Yeah, we often said when I was in USM, they say, USM must change, but you must follow that. Yeah? USM must change, but you must follow this university. To me, that is not an option. As far as UIA is concerned, this is the only international Islamic university in Malaysia. If as an international Islamic university wants to follow another university which is non-Islamic and non-international, something is wrong with you.
Yes.
It is quite clear to me, we have to play the leading role. It is something given to us. Yeah? So my option is, as much as your song say, let's lead the way, let's lead the way. Don't just sing the song and follow somebody else. All right? So the option is either you lead or you leave. Yeah? No second option. If you want to play the safe games, UIA is not the place. Go somewhere else. If you want to follow people blindly because it is a ranking game, good luck to you. We need to create. We need to lead. And I'm serious about this. This is not a campaign thing. I've got the job anyway, so there's nothing to campaign. Yeah? But this is a serious thing. University, science, and sorry, that's my old university. It's also like that, all right? University Antarabangsa Islamic International University must lead. Your song tells you that you must lead. Yeah, you have already made the decision. But how to lead is another question. And I will talk to you a little bit about how we want to lead. Yeah? So far, this is university. All university, including UIA, including IIUM. Somebody tells us how to do things. Yeah, it could be a university from the Ivy League, it could be a university from Oxford, Cambridge, it could be a university from anywhere else. And this is a way to run an university, right? But we're going to cut the umbilical cord from that sort of way of looking. We want to find out how best we can lead, given our own tradition, given our own values, given our civilization. You've got Istak here anyway, yeah, that will define to what the civilization is all about. We're going to make our decision how we're going to lead at the end of the day. And for that, we need this thing called autonomy, and that's why Mansukhkan Auku becomes an important thing. Autonomy also means responsibility. Autonomy also means accountability. Autonomy also means holding to the amanah, again, part of your song. It is not going wild. It's not going to do things because we like it. It's not going to do things because somebody tells us, but we're going to do it on the basis of what we think it is all about. Yeah? So it's about freedom, it's about liberty, it's about sovereignty, it's about self-government, it's about self-rule, it's about self-sufficiency, name it. These are all within the realm of autonomy. As an academic, as a university, we need to think for ourselves and start to govern ourselves the way we think what ought to be as far as the university is concerned. Okay? I just also want to highlight to you, autonomy doesn't mean automation. Yeah? In the discussion of 4IR, we sometimes behave also like a robot that to be automated. I want to be very clear that automation and autonomy are two different things, right? And then automation means somebody else still is controlling you from wherever it is, one way or the other. So when we talk about autonomy, there are four things at least we want to think about. One is organizational way, the other one is the financial way, the other one in terms of staffing, the other one is, of course, in terms of academic freedom. These are minimally the four things that we need to think very hard. How do you want to make this university autonomous organizationally with enough financial backing? And we need to go back to the first model of university in the world. According to UNESCO, it is not in Europe, it is not in the US, it is in Fez, Morocco. Some of you from Morocco will probably recognize this. Yeah? In 859, the University of Karayin was built by a lady, a Muslim lady, called Fatimah Al-Fat. That is the first model of a university according to UNESCO. It's not Oxford, it's not Cambridge, it's not Harvard. But where has this university gone in our discussion as far as autonomy is concerned? They remain Waqaf until now after 1,200 years. One of the things that I think we should be doing is to go back and understand what the university is all about. It started with a madrasa, it becomes a mosque, and then it becomes a university. The word university was in use, called Jamaie. Right? A different terminology altogether. I need to remind you also, sorry to digress a little bit, the word university comes in only in the 11th century, when the University of Bologna was built in 1088, from the word universitas. And the word universitas has four conditions, and one of the conditions, the last condition, is that you must be the trustees of the European humanist tradition. The word university inherently recognizes that we must be the trustees of the European humanist tradition. We are not part of that trustee of the humanist tradition. Therefore, the word university itself has got a loaded meaning as far as autonomy is concerned. Yeah? And these are the things that we will go into deeper as we understand what university is all about and how do you govern. So far, the signal is very mixed. It's just a nice picture to show how mixed it is. Yeah? You talk to somebody else to say red light, sometimes an amber light, somebody say go. But as far as we're concerned, we're going to turn all the colors into green. We're going to go. Yeah? Give us another 2 or 3 months when we sort this out. We're going to claim autonomy, and we're going to govern this university as an autonomous university as such. And that's as much as I can tell you. Now, how do you do this? There is a little experience that I will use when I'm in USM, when we go for the apex bid in 2008. Yeah? One of it, are we prepared to change? I talk about change, university is about change. But are we prepared to make that change? And there are some of the things that we are asked to look at. One is our strategic intent. Yeah? One is the culture within the university. This is very, very important as far as I'm concerned. If the culture is not there, and the culture is not about change, then you can forget about change. So building culture is something which is important, and it's not that easy. It depends on you individually how much change you want, depending on the kind of culture that you're going to adopt. And certainly the last thing is about leadership. Leadership is not about one person. Leadership is about how you collectively move to make that change, right? So there are these breakdowns, evidence of cohesiveness, evidence of well communicated ideas, the buy-in, yeah? Question of what sort of culture are we going to create as an emerging culture for change, the kind of support, the kind of plan that we're going to create to make that change, yeah? The kind of leadership team we have, how cohesive it is, can we move into one direction or do we move in many directions? All these things needs to be thought of, right? And when we are given this, alhamdulillah, within the four, you need to help me with this. Within the four contending university, alhamdulillah, USM scored what you saw. All right? In terms of strategic intent, we are high. Culture, medium high. It's not easy, as I've mentioned. In terms of leadership, we are high. I am very, very, very sure that UIA, IIUM can also score the same thing once we wake up our mind. This is not magic. This is not magic. This is hard work. If you are prepared to do the hard work, you can have all high better than USM. I will make sure of that. And you can go back to USM and say we are different from you. Yeah? Once you've got this preparedness for change, then they ask you, what is a transformation plan? Okay? Then you have to look at what sort of direction we're going to go, what sort of approaches we're going to get, what sort of effort we're going to put in. Again, they are very decisive. How well defined it is, what sort of positioning to get, yeah? How unifying is it, or do we still have splintering groups who wants to do different things at different times? All the rest, I think it is quite clear. Yeah? Again, when we do this, the result is quite clear. Now, inshallah, given the kind of experience I've got, the little there is, we can work this out again so that we are prepared, so that the plans are there for us to make the next change, the so-called transformation. And this is what I'm going to work with you with. Yeah? We've been contacting people, we've been talking to people, mainly through emails. I think Prof. Aino will know this. Yeah? It starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, sometimes it ends at 2 o'clock in the morning, but that discussion is ongoing. Working as an academic is not a 8 to 5 job. If you want an 8 to 5 job, you join the civil service. By 5 o'clock, you can clock out, and there you are. For us, our world is a 24/7 world. No kidding. By the time I sleep, my friend in the United States are wide awake and he will email me. I cannot be saying, sorry, Mike, I'm about to sleep. Right? By the time we wake up, people in the southern hemispheres are already. So we need to work 24/7. And working 24/7 is a must for all academics and people who work in the university. Of course, I'm not saying that, be imbalanced about your work, but certainly working 24 hours is something should not be new to us. Yeah? So what do I do now? You can imagine me still with some hairs, but 2 years from now I probably will have no hairs. I need to decide what I want to do. Yeah? What I want to do is this. I don't want to create another university that is the same with all other universities in Malaysia, preferably around the world as well. How do I make IIUM stand out above the rest? First thing is to recognize one size does not fit all. Yeah? Asalkan nama student affairs, everybody must call them HEPA. You know, for research, everybody must call them happy. You know, we can't even change those names. I'm going to change those names, inshallah. So that student affairs has a different name that depicts what they want to do rather than just what we know as HEPA or happy now. We will change that so that we make different branding, different things to different people. So one size fits all does not work. If that does not work, then what do we do? I might as well go there and work it. No. Why it doesn't work? And this is a kind of a sign of simplistic diagram. Why it does not work? Because we are very much thinking of what's outside. When we look at our university at the end of the day, it is no more than a factory. Yeah? We can go into this a little bit more later, but the university is no more than a factory where the words used are marketability, employability. I have no problems with that, but that is not the first thing that the university will do. The first thing the university will do is to create a person. The person that we created is so good that the job will run after the person rather than the person running after the job. That's a difference. Yeah. The IIUM student and staff are so good that people will pick them off and say, I want to work with you. We don't have to knock on people's door and say, can you work with me? And they say, you from, no, we don't want to work with you. That's a difference. That this university must have that stature, that people seek for us rather than we go and seek for them. That difference, I hope you can probably understand. It's a factory. At the end of the day, it has its own benchmark. This word benchmark is, to me, is a dangerous word. Because the moment you benchmark, you will be second best. You can never be the best if you benchmark. All right? And this is what Chan Kim says in this book, so-called the Blue Ocean Strategy. He said this, we missed this. He says, never use the competition as a benchmark. If you use University A in the United States of America as a benchmark, you can only be second best. Because you will follow that benchmark, whatever he or she or it does. And you can never overtake that kind of a benchmark. So we remove that benchmark. What do? He says, create. Create in such a way that you don't have to compete, because you are creating something which is brand new that no others has got. What is so brand new about this university? It is international, it is Islamic. You already got it. But you have not moved it the way you want to create it. Right? So there is already that creation. We don't have to compete. There's no competition as far as I'm concerned. USIM perhaps is an Islamic university, but it's not international the way we understand it here. Right? Some other university may be international, but they are not Islamic. You are the only, or we are the only university that is international and Islamic. We have got it given. How do you move this is the next question that we need to ask. Yeah? This is about benchmarking. A nice cartoon for you to remember. It says, to ensure all fair evaluation, all of you must meet the same benchmark. And what is the benchmark? Climb the trees. Who among these can climb the trees, if not for the monkey? Right? We are not a monkey. So we may not be able to climb the tree. But that doesn't mean we are any less than anybody else, because the benchmark doesn't fit us. As a mindset, I think we need to think about what is the benchmark that we want to create for ourselves so that other people will follow us rather than us following them. So what do we do now? For me, we're now going to open the box. You often hear out of the box. We are going to move out of the box. And in fact, we have already moved out of the box, whether you realize it or not. We're going to destroy the box and create a garden. There's a reason why you call this a garden of knowledge and virtue. Because we don't want to be kept in a box called a university. Right? So we created that core knowledge and virtue in the so-called garden. And what is a garden? That is a garden. We're going to create, and that is what was created in 1983. One more. You've got the garden. Right? And that garden has a lot more meaning to what a university stands for. If you go and try to understand what a garden is all about, you begin to understand that metaphor is greater than what a university is all about. Students will come to the university, I'll talk to them tomorrow in Kuantan, to look at buildings. Which is the lecture hall, which is the library, which is the main hall, which is the canteen, which is this and that. But the student will miss the garden. What is a garden to us? A garden to me is about at least three things. One is about diversity. And this is where an international university is up for it. A garden must have a set of plants that are quite different from each other. If it's all the same, then it becomes a plantation. Yeah? You can imagine the palm oil plantation, the coffee plantation, whatever plantation, they're all the same. Do you want to be a plantation? I certainly don't think so. Already, when you talk about your garden, you must accept diversity in all its dimensions. Gender-wise, race-wise, ethnicity, beliefs, whatever else. And that's the beauty of a garden. Second point, all the plants in the gardens are rooted. There's no plants that will grow in a garden without a roots. But we often don't see these roots because we keep on admiring the nice flowers or whatever you see above ground. We forgot there is that roots. The roots will ensure whether the flower or the plants grow well, healthy, and beautiful. If you don't have the roots, you can be assured that the plant will die tomorrow. So what is its roots? Its roots are the virtues, are the values, are the norms that shapes the plant. In that sense, your garden of virtue is the one that's going to shape the knowledge. The knowledge will not happen if the virtues are not there. And therefore, the balance between these two will exist in this garden of knowledge and virtue. So you have got already the garden. You can see how the greens and the blue sort of mix with one another. And this is the 35th years of your celebration, or rather of our celebration. All right? We're going to celebrate it. We're going to do something about it. Inshallah, we are thinking about what is it that we're going to do to bring back this whole concept of a garden as far as the UIA is concerned. Next. The tougher thing is this, if you can move my picture somewhere else, maybe I can show what we want to do now. Yeah? We are going to the 21st century. We are already 18 years into the 21st century, but half of us are still having a nightmare of what this 21st century is all about. Yeah? The 21st century is about, man please, your 35 years. Next. We have got this so-called education blueprint. 6 things in the education blueprint that you need to remember. One is student aspiration, that they must be knowledgeable. There might be a leadership role for them. They must be able to master at least 2 languages. I think you have done more than that. Yeah? They must also be a thinker, this hot, what you call high order thinking skills, all right? And there are 2 things that is often forgotten. They must have ethics and morality, ethics and spirituality that defines the nation's identity. That's the 2 things that I put down there. Yeah? That will happen in 2015. We're supposed to complete the blueprint in 2025, maybe a few more years, 8 years from now. So, but by then we should have gone to the year 2020, Wawasan 2020. Yeah? What does Wawasan 2020 talks? It talks about these 9 challenges. And the one that I put in red are the 9 challenges that has to do with ethics and spirituality and morality. And the way I look at it, we are not doing too well. A question of bullying is coming up. A question of sexual harassment is coming up. A question of, corruption is coming up. Wawasan 2020 do not stand a chance if this is not corrected. Perhaps it's difficult to talk about Malaysia or the world as such, but we can certainly talk about this in a university. How do we ensure that all these other things that we talk about in the Wawasan 2020, which is common to everybody, even though you're a non-Malaysian, yeah, in terms of morality, in terms of ethics, and in terms of spirituality. It has been neglected for a long time. It is part of the virtue that we talked about as far as the garden is concerned. Meanwhile, on the agenda and a global scale, people are talking about sustainable development goal, which begins in 2016, will end in 2030. This is what we call, next, Education 2030. In the next span of 15 years, what do we need to arrive at as far as education is concerned? It is again defined under the SDG in terms of exclusiveness, in terms of quality, in terms of sustainability, in terms of justice, in terms of dignity. All of that I explained in what Education 2030 is all about, which we have missed again. People are not talking about Education 4.0. I attended 2 seminars on Education 4.0. I asked them, where does Education 4.0 come from? Where is Education 3.0 before you can come to 4.0? Where is Education 2.0 before you can even talk about 3.0 and 4.0? We don't have a good answer for this. Yet university subscribe to it as though it's going to happen tomorrow. It is my big disappointment that university do not think for themselves. Just because somebody say 4.0, we say 4.0. Sir, when do you want it? Tomorrow. Okay, I'll give it to you. No discussion, no debates, no discourse as far as what we're going to do. Yeah? So as far as the World Economic Forum, the World Education Forum in Incheon 2015 is concerned, it is about education 2030. I hope people in the Kuliah of Education will try to understand this a lot more. And from there, it will focus into what they call the future of the younger generation, very much like what we are taking today. And what is that? They are talking about the 4 things as far as UNESCO is concerned: learning to do, learning to know, learning to be, and learning to live together. We are good in learning to know. We are good perhaps in learning to do, but we are not good in learning to be. Learning to be means to know who you are. Until and unless you know who you are, you will not be able to learn to live together, which is the next pillar of learning. And this is something, again, that we need to bring back as far as education in UIA or IIUM is concerned. If you don't, these are the challenges that you're going to face. This is just randomly. Yeah? Let's talk about the number of centenarians. 500,000 today. These are the like of the Prime Minister. 93 years old, still working about walking and working. 500,000 today. By the year 2100, there'll be 26 million of them. Imagine 26 million Tun Mahathir Mohamad working around. You know, how do you deal with this? What sort of education system do you have? What sort of thinking won't you put in place? Yeah? Let's talk about the other one, singularity. When you talk about so much of the fourth industrial revolution and artificial intelligence, the time will come, and some people predicted probably less than 50 years, that the AI, the artificial intelligence, will exceed human intelligence and will produce what they call now transhuman or post-human. Who are these people? How do you deal with them? Are they fully human or are they not? Yeah? A good example already, Saudi Arabia has got the first AI citizen called Sophia. The first citizen in the world that is given a citizenship by Saudi Arabia is called Sophia. Yeah? But Sophia do not wear hijab. So who is Sophia, or what is Sophia? These are issues that we will face as Muslims as we move into this period of singularity that we talked about. Yeah? The rest, I think we can talk about it later, but my point is basically the challenges out there will be real challenges. If you're going to talk about your employment, employability, and all those other things that we're talking about, which is relevant to us, but that is not good enough. There are more things that we need to talk about as we move into the 21st century and beyond. Next. Despite all those things, the way ahead is already being labeled in many things. Despite the many connectivity, despite the many social media, despite the many other things that we talked about, this age is called the age of loneliness. We've got only virtual friends. We don't have real friends. We know only so many likes, and that's about it. Yeah? So it is called the age of loneliness, and there now means what? There are a lot more suicide, there are a lot more depression, there are a lot more aggression because of this loneliness. And in Islam, I think this is something that we are very, very mindful about. Yeah? And this age of loneliness is going to be supplemented by the age of unsustainability. What is age of unsustainability? It is called the Anthropocene age. The Anthropocene age is the age where human being will destroy its own civilization. We are beginning to see this now. Yeah? The age before that, where human being built civilization, but now because of climate change, global warming, the war that we fought, we are beginning to dismantle our own civilization. And certainly the Muslim world will be the worst at all because we have the worst kind of infrastructure and the worst kind of, social being, as it were. Imagine when this is dismantled. There's already a book by two academics, one Noemi Oracas and Eric Conway, and the book is entitled The Collapse of the Western Civilization. And these two authors even give a date, 2093. If we do not change the way we think, do not change the way we conduct ourselves, we're going to destroy the civilization, Western as it is, by the year 2093. What do Muslims do? The Muslims basically just say, well, it's going to be destroyed, so be it. What is our alternative? How do we present to the world that if this is going to be destroyed, if this is going to collapse, this is an alternative that we're going to have? Who's going to do that if it's not us? Yeah? I think the politicians are too busy to win votes. But we will need to do the hard work and say what will be the alternative if civilization do ever collapse before the century is out. Those are big calls, and that's what the university is for, not just the petty things that we talked about. Yeah? Why it is unsustainable? Because it says here, we are choosing a life that is unbalanced. The word mizan comes to mind. Yeah? The word mizan comes to mind. The falsafah pendidikan negara comes to mind. The national philosophy of education comes to mind because it says this. The national philosophy of education says we want to produce a human being that is balanced and harmony. It doesn't say that we want to produce a human being that can be marketed and get employment. And that is what this is all about. How do you bring back the balance? When our students go for convocation, the question we need to ask them when they take the scroll, are these students balanced? Does it meet the criteria of Mizan that the Quran advocates? If it does not, then what is wrong with our education? What is wrong with our curriculum? What is not good with our pedagogy? What else that we can do to make this balance a reality in life, not just in words or in terms of philosophy? Yeah? At the end of the day, this is what is happening now. All of us are too engrossed with our technology. I don't think it is wrong, but until and unless you have the balance and to be able to control it, then the technology will take over you. Already, the latest research about technology, for those of you in IT, will probably try to verify this. Every morning, for those of you who've got a handphone, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is to look at your handphones. There is a global research, and you will look at your handphone again 200 times in a day. Whether it flickers, whether it shakes, whether it moves, whether there's a sound coming to it, you will look at it. And the span between two events is only about 15 minutes. You know? And just imagine if that piece of machine is a cigarette. Yeah? You wake up in the morning, you take your first puff, it's fine, but you will smoke that cigarette again 200 times a day. In other words, 10 packets of 20 cigarettes. Every day you will smoke them. What does that make you? A tobacco addict, a nicotine addict. Why can't I call you if you do that with your handphone that you are now a handphone addict? You are not able to control what this technology used for you. And the other research that we also read, this just 2 weeks ago, by Limelight Network. 10 countries, 2 countries are developing countries, Malaysia and India. The rest are Europe and US and stuff like that. And one question do they ask this: how many of the respondents are not able to live without their device even in a day? Yeah? In other words, you must look at your device at least a day. Global sample, say 48% say, I will not be able to do that. In other words, 48% globally, people will look at their handphone or their device. But for Malaysia, the number is not 40, the percentage is not 48%, the percentage is 70%. But what is more ironical, in Germany, the number is less than 20%. In Japan, the number is less than 30%. How is it that a country which is technologically advanced are not obsessed over their machines and gadgets? How is it a country that is not advanced like Malaysia and India, India is second after Malaysia, 68%, are obsessed over their machines? What is it that we have not learned that the Japanese and the Germans has learned? The reason is quite simple. The Japanese and the German look at their machine as a supplementary thing. It's just like a toilet. I need to go to the toilet when I need to go to the toilet. In our case, a toilet is part of our life. We stay in the toilet, whether we need it or not. You know, we don't understand that the toilet is supplementary to us. We'll bring them along all the time because we think this is part of technology of 21st century living. Something wrong with our thinking. Something wrong with our understanding of what technology is all about. And that's why when we talk about 4IR, the fourth industrial revolution, we jumped into it like nobody's business. You go to Europe, they don't care about 4IR. They talk about what? They talk about sustainable development goal. When we talk about 4IR, the Japanese is talking about the fifth social revolution. Another technologically advanced country does not talk about 4IR. It talks about the fifth social revolution because they want to fit the human being into the technology rather than the other way around. And these are issues, I think, that should make us worry in a university that we are not conveying the right message to the people around, including ourselves. And we need to do that soon so that we can get the story behind the story in the right way. And finally, I think we will go into what we call now love addiction. I will not elaborate on this, but that is a phenomenon that is described. And you can already imagine from the word love itself what will happen to this world. Yeah? In Europe, mainly, just for information, many of the brothels now are services by robots. They don't use human prostitute anymore, which is good. Yeah? But think about it. I will not elaborate. We will probably elaborate in small groups. Yeah? But that is enough. So which direction do we go? Given all this massive technology called invasion coming to us, and we are not sure what we're going to do, which direction do we go? Which direction do we take? How do you transform ourselves? How do you make those changes? These are big questions that a university like IIUM must concern itself with. Yeah? I don't think any other universities are qualified to do that in the context of what we've got today next. So what are you thinking? Yeah? Which directions are we going to go? If you think we have no direction, let's create one that all of us can agree. Meaning to say that we need to create one. Yeah? Can we be the game changer? In other words, we don't look for benchmark, but we make the benchmark. We become the one who decide. We write the rules rather than we follow somebody else's rule. Meaning to say that are we ready to meet the challenge? Meaning to say also that how much of the old thinking can we get rid of? Oftentimes we cannot make change because we are held back of old thinking, of old paradigms, of old models, which we think it is the right model when it is not. Right? So we need to create, and to create is to talk about the future. And this is where we are hoping that ISTEC could be transformed into a kind of a different thinking, not just the past, but looking into the future, something that inshallah we will work on so that ISTEC and IIUM can work together in this particular context. Yeah? Next, let me just conclude by giving you a few things that I have learned. And that symbol, if you are not familiar, is a symbol of the Pusat Raja Negara, where I was inducted to maybe 1995. It's a brand new thing that we now say, let's not benchmark. Let's create our own benchmark. Yeah? And the National Poison Center, which is in USM, that remains so until now. The first thing we need to do is to dare to dream. In other words, you dare to create something which is not in existence now. It'll be existent in the future. Let's think about it and let's recreate or create them. Yeah? Sometimes learning from our own history. Now, the moment you know and you want to create, you must take charge. In other words, you must be able to do what you want to do, regardless of whether people say you can do it or not. So this is where the question of autonomy, flexibility, self-rules, self-governance becomes important. Because we need to decide. We don't depend on other people to decide for us. Yeah? And what they say also it takes charge mean? Take charge means it's also you need to be the first mover. The question that I normally ask is, has somebody done this? If somebody has done it, never mind, let them do it. We will do something that other people have not done so. Okay? That's mean take charge. And we have got our own history. What I call the world first. Not world class. World class is about benchmarking. World first is about us writing the rule. Many of the inventions of the past were invented by Muslims. And they are the world first. And then they'll become the world class. Right? That thinking, I think, must be clear. That we create something, and that something becomes a benchmark for other people to follow, and that will be world class. Once you've done that, things that we do every day must touch the life of a person. That is a kind of intimacy we've got with knowledge. That the knowledge that we create changes the life of a person. It could be a simple thing as things like, people not going to schools or no scholarships. or no place to go. These are all within our ambits to do. How do we actually give this amal jariyah or sadaqah or whatever you call it to make them also change at the same time? You must touch life. Certainly a bigger one will be about poverty, wars, and so on and so forth. How do you touch life? And normally we do that by giving education to people. This is our strength. If you use education not for the people that we are serving, then we are not doing what we are supposed to do. Therefore, education becomes that conduit. Yeah? But to have that, you must also have humility. What I mean by humility, you must walk in the shoes of the people that you want to change. If you want to change the poor, you must walk with them in their shoes so that you know what poverty is all about. It will not work by staying in your room, air-conditioned room, and talk about poverty which you have not seen before. And therefore, we must get out of our own buildings, our own classrooms, our own comfort, and work with them, and understand them, and be humble in the sense that you learn from them what poverty is all about. It is not something going to come from textbooks. You need to experience them. And this is, I think, Islamic. Thoroughly Islamic, because you are with them in trying to make those change. It's not a hypocritical change because you want to get a promotion next year. You know, write a nice thesis on poverty, but what is poverty? You have not even experienced it. Yeah? So I think we need to move down from our own comfort, get into the ground and understand what is happening on the ground to make the change that we need and to make the change they actually need. And finally, we need to work like a team. I cannot overemphasize this. We are one team called IIUM. I understand there are different people think differently. We will allow that. We will celebrate it. But we cannot have many teams in IIUM. And the team is such that it goes into a kind of a family bonding. That I do this because we are part of a family, not because I do this because I want something else out of you. The way we treat our family, the way we actually work for our children, the way we work for our own mother, our own wife. We don't expect returns from them. Returns come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we work for them because they are family, and that family is what IIUM is all about. While I understand that there are needs and differences, but we cannot work in silos. When you talk about the Sustainable Development Goal, the word silos is already obsolete. We need to work as a team, and how do you connect all the dots as much as possible? We'll get into this later on. So it's about one home, one community, one planet, and finally one humanity. Then Ummah makes sense to me. Yeah? Starting from that family, we will move into the bigger family of humanity. And this is what IIUM as an international Islamic university is all about. Yeah? For the moment, I would request from you 10 things, which is not difficult. These are the 10 things that comes from the virtue that will define us, that will define our relationship, that also will define the kind of work that we're going to do. What are the 10 things? So I should be closer. One is already said in the song, Amanah. Yeah? Your song, for the first time I've seen it, it talks about Amanah. We want to work on the basis of trust. Not because I'm the rector, you want to work with me, but you want to work with me on the basis of trust. And I want to work with you on the basis of trust. That's it. That is the one that defines our relationship. Not because you are higher than somebody else, because you're well-to-do, because you're more connected. No. We work on the basis of trust, and therefore we work with everybody, including the janitors, including the drivers, including the gardeners, not only the people on the higher-ups. That trust, I think, needs to be everywhere and anywhere. Right? What does that trust mean to me? The moment there is trust, then it creates what I call the pride of work. You have given me this opportunity to talk to you today, and that will be my pride of work. And I will present you the best that I could, because I want it to be my pride of work. If it's going to be a piece of art, you will take that piece of art and hang it on the wall, because it's a pride of work, not because I'm here today. And that's why we have agreed with ASA, the academic staff, this kind of a talk, we will not make it compulsory. You will come here on your own because you want to have that trust and the pride of work. When you come here on your own, then I think the responsibility on you becomes even better. Rather than sitting here, your mind is somewhere else, but you're just physically present. Yeah? And that pride of work has something to do with sacrifice. Because I don't know you. I don't know Professor Ainun before this. I just need to trust her, and I take a little bit of sacrifice. And that sacrifice is part and parcel of this trust and the pride of work that you need. And certainly, we need to think about our own cultural dimension of what Budi is all about. Yeah. Dalam bahasa Malaysia, orang berbudi, kita berbahasa. Simple. Yeah. That I've gained something from you, if I've got something from you, then I must reciprocate in whatever form that I can manage. Simple kind of an ethics. Orang berbudi, kita berbahasa. And that defines what the relationship of trustworthiness is all about. Second is about punctuality in terms of whatever we want to do. If it's 11, we need to come at 11. If it's 11:15, then 11:15 it is. Yeah? We don't stretch the time earlier or later. And that is Islamic. And the Japanese is good at this. And I asked the Japanese, why are you so punctual? And the reason is very simple. If I'm punctual, then I will make everybody else comfortable. He's not punctual because he wants to be punctual, but he wants to be punctual because everybody else will be comfortable so that everybody can start at the same time. And that's why recently, I think you must have read, yeah? One of the Shinkansen, the bullet train, left the station 20 seconds earlier. We would probably celebrate. The train leaves earlier. But the Japanese apologize for leaving earlier because it creates discomfort for other people. You see the kind of thinking that these people have. They think quite differently. They think of other people first rather than themselves. In our society, we think of ourselves first rather than other people. So we get cleared a lot of problems. Why? Because we want to ensure that we get the best. Other people, doesn't matter, they can come second. In the context of punctuality, I want to talk about attention to details. Time is one of the details that we need to be attentive to. And there are many other things. As I walk in the campus, and that's why we have decided to have a cleanup of the campus on the 16th of September, yeah? There are many details that are missing in the campus. Some of the pictures are not even hanging straight. Some of the pictures are hanging like that. These are some of the signage are already like that. Yeah? In the lift to the rector's office, 2 screws in the lifts are missing. There is attention to details. All right? And that is a level that we must get into. And I'm serious about this. It's no good to have a nice big building, but everything else in the buildings are not working well. We don't care about the big pictures now, we want to go for the details. I've already told somebody that 2 screws are missing in the lifts in the rector's office. Fix it. It was said yesterday, I hope it can be fixed. That's a level of, so when you walk in the campus and you see some, something, a piece of paper or tissue paper, what do? Do you just kick it off or do you just walk past it? I hope you will pick it up and bring it to you wherever it is and then throw it properly. If 20,000, 30,000 students can do this, including staff, We don't need to employ a janitor. Yeah? The campus will be spick and span every time of the day. Imagine people walking all the time and picking garbage as they go along. We don't need other. That is a level of attentiveness I want us to have. And that defines us as a Muslim. And that defines us as a person who actually understands what punctuality is all about in that sense. So it talks about discipline. It talks about being conscious. Conscious of what you do. Not because you want to do it, but because it is part and parcel of our lifestyle. The third one I've mentioned earlier about collaborativeness. How do you work with one another, being inclusive, being one, yeah? And also this teamwork, family and humanity. We've talked about that earlier. And the last part is about courage. Courage based on sincerity, courage based on honesty. You will never go wrong. It's only when courage is, has some other mischievous intent behind it, then you will get caught. If courage is based on sincerity and honesty, yeah, and the whole trust that we talked about, you will never go wrong. You will be able to create new things, and that's where the leadership starts. So these are the 10 things, if you can just keep in mind: pride of work, sacrifice, buddhi, attentive to detail, being disciplined, be conscious, yeah, kind of inclusiveness, oneness, and this whole family, and all this will give you the courage to make the change. At the end of the day, it has to be about change, and change for the better. Use these 10 things so that these are the 10 things that will connect us. Use these 10 things so that these are the things that build understanding. Use these 10 things so that we can build bridges over one another. If you're going to think of something else, go back to what it is. If you're going to be exclusive, no, say, I'm not going to be exclusive, I'm going to be inclusive, because these are the 10 things that I need. If you're going to do things because you're going to do things of some other second, third agenda, forget about it. Go back to sincerity and honesty. You got it right. So I only request from you, for those who are here and for those who are not here, think about these 10 things. Each time you want to work and do something else, make sure these 10 things are there for you to actually move on. Yeah? So what is the outcome? I'm hoping the outcome will be a kind of a masterpiece. And the masterpiece is out of our pride of work, and that will probably be one of the masterpieces that we can produce. The centrality is all that we can be proud of. That the mosque is clean, that the mosque is well arranged, that the mosque is attentive to details, yeah? And that symbolizes the pride of work that we need to have. Right? And when that pride of work is there, then it becomes internationally connected. People will rush to you to find out what you do right. You don't have to call the name. And that's a symbol of how successful we are in creating those change. I want to finish off by reminding ourselves again what the 7th Prime Minister said. We need these guts to make the change. We need to nurture them over time. But the 10 virtues that I mentioned to you will help you to create these guts on all sincerity and honesty. Yeah? So while we celebrate the 3rd Merdeka, it is a wave that we don't want to squander. So difficult perhaps to talk about Malaysia and the world. Let's work just within the university. I am very convinced the moment we work together, this university will change, inshallah, in a period of 2 years. I'm very convinced that all of you want this change, and I'm very convinced that we are prepared to work for it. So let's make dua, inshallah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a blessing and also the courage to make this change, so that IIUM from today onwards will lead the way for the future. I would come back to you again every alternate months to have this kind of a dialogue, to have this kind of a talk. And it is not something that I want to preach, but something that I want to share. You are free to criticize, you are free to comment. We are trying to put this online, inshallah. And once you do this, we welcome all sorts of ideas that will make the university better. It is not a one-man idea, it is an idea of everybody. So on that note, I would like to thank you very much for this particular opportunity, and I look forward to working with you from now on, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I'm not too sure whether you want Q&A. It's almost lunch. Sometimes lunch is more important than talks. So you pick your choose. If you want to ask questions, you are okay. Otherwise, I'm okay also anyway.
Okay, thank you, Tan Sri, for the inaugural message. Can I very quickly invite all the UMC members to join Tan Sri on stage for the launching of IIUM Merdeka celebration. Okay, let us now sing the 61st Merdeka theme song, Kita Punya Malaysia, led by Saud Al-Shifa from IIUM Kuantan Medical Center.
Sayangi Malaysia, satu Malaysia, satu suara laukan merdeka. Sayangi Malaysiaku, sayangi Malaysiaku, tanah airku, ini kita punya. Sayangi Malaysiaku, sayangi Malaysia, satu suara laukan, ini kita punya.
Thank you. Okay, you all may be seated. Okay. We now will continue with the prize giving ceremony, and I would like to invite Honorable Tan Sri Dato' Zulkifli Abdul Razak to present the prizes. The first category is the Patriotic Song Competition. The third place goes to the choir team Dar Al-Hikmah from IIUM Library. The second place goes to Charisma Chorus. This team consists of a mixture of staff from different offices. And the winner of the Patriotic Song Competition is Sautal Shifa from IIUM Kuantan Medical Center. Congratulations to all the winners. And we now move on to the Jalur Gemilang Decoration Competition. Okay, the Jalur Gemilang Decoration Competition, the third place goes to Management Services Division. Dato' Rahim, Dato' Rahim, did you forget that you are the Executive Director of MSD? The second place goes to Academic Management and Admissions Division. Can I invite a representative to receive the token? Okay, Dr. Haslina Hassan, Deputy Director of Ahmad. The winner of the Jalur Gemilang Decoration Competition is Kuliah of Architecture and Environmental Design. May I invite Professor Razak Sapian, the Dean. Congratulations once again to all the winners. I would like to invite all the VIPs to return to your seats, please. Now, brothers and sisters, in conjunction with the Merdeka celebration, let us sing together with pride and joy the patriotic songs entitled Jalur Gemilang, followed by Tanggal 31. Yes, now is the time. Our favorite songs. Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Don't we all feel so energized? Right. Okay, without further delay, I would like to invite Ustaz Muhammad Ramadan Subki bin Abdullah from Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Mosque to recite the dua.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma inna nas'aluka ridhaka wal jannah wa na'udzu bika min sakhatika wan nar. Allahumma innaka afuwun karimun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna wa an walidina wa an jami'il muslimin wal muslimat birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. O Allah, the gracious, the generous, grant all goodness to Muslims and all blessings to the faithful and all mercies to the mankind. O Allah, guide this ummah to do the best. Bless this ummah to be loving and compassionate. Help this ummah to spread good and peace to all mankind. O Allah, remove all hatred and conflicts that is happening. Grant peace and restore human dignity in this world. Save this earth from destruction due to human ignorance. Grant our country and the entire world with safety, peace, calmness, tranquility, progress and development. O Allah, may these days of ours be better than yesterday. May our tomorrow be better than today. Please grant us positive outcomes in all our endeavors. Save us from disappointment both in this world and the hereafter. O Allah, the gentle, the sustainer, may peace and calmness prevail in this world. Guide mankind to uphold justice and equality. Protect our young from misguidance. Give us the strength to spread your true message. Strengthen us to be a blessing to all mankind. اللهم ادفع عنا البلاء والوباء والفحشاء والمحن ما ظهر منها وما بطن عن بلدنا هذا خاصة وعن سائر بلاد المسلمين عامة. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. تقبل الله منكم.
Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, with that dua, we have come to the end of our program. I hope the Merdeka celebration serves as a reminder to all Malaysians to appreciate the glorious struggle our ancestors had faced and our responsibilities as citizens to cherish and honor this dignity, this spirit of Merdeka. Let us express our love, kindness, and compassion to our Malaysia by being good citizens and doing our best for the country. Sayangi Malaysiaku, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.